This episode of the Smart Dumb Podcast has been brought to you in part by Audacity Magazine. Audacity Magazine and Events has been amplifying young professionals and small businesses for the last 5 years. If that describes you, then I invite you to get an Audacity subscription, aka join the Audacity team. You can enjoy benefits that include 2 events a month, whether virtual or in person in Atlanta, bi-weekly power hours that serve as accountability as well as brainstorming sessions, entry into a WhatsApp group chat of fellow entrepreneurs, free shipping on merch, and a free entry into the fetch list, which, yes, is a nod to Mean Girls and no, not a reference that I personally understood. The fetch list is, however, a directory accessible by those who are tapped in with Audacity, which means it can help you find your next customer. Now, I think it's safe to say that 5 years of anything can never be sufficiently covered in one ad. So to learn more, visit audacitymagazine.org. And to inquire about advertising across their different platforms, email audacitymagazineonline@gmail.com. That's Audacity, MAG, online@gmail.com.
Ain't nothing worse than a smart dumb. Hey yo! Hey yo! Hey yo! Hey yo!
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Smart Dumb Podcast. As usual, or as it often happens, definitely made, built a lot of community on the poetry side of things. Today's guest is no different. Just a genuine guy that writes. You know what I'm saying? Happens to share information. You know what I mean? That's not even like, I don't even feel like you still trying to not call yourself a poet, or where we at with that?
I guess you could say that now. I guess
All right, everybody. No doubt. But yeah, Michael, salute, bro. Welcome to the podcast. Let me let you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, briefly.
All right. Hello, world. You know what I'm saying? My name is Mike. I go by AMikeAPhone in the poetry universe. Man, where do I start? I guess you could say I'm just like a regular guy up until about, I want to say maybe 3 years ago when I really started getting into poetry.
Mm-hmm.
Really just started writing down my thoughts, and they just happened to manifest into poems. Other than being a poet, an actor, a model, just a jack of all trades kind of sort. I know I'm forgetting a couple things, but for the most part, for real, just in my poetry game right now. You know what I'm saying? Just in my poetry game right now. I've been in 2022, I was nominated for a Crown Award for Best New Poet and Best Supporter. I've headlined a couple different events, Poets for Dinner, Firehouse Poetry. So, you could catch me at those different spots. Yeah, man, you just see me everywhere, whether it be supporting, whether it be jumping on the mic, whether it be speaking words to my other poetry counterparts. I'm everywhere, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and so like I said, I'm excuse me, I'm relatively newer to Maryland scene, but you're Bmore resident, like born and raised.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what's up. That's
yes,
very
sir.
good. So what just speak to that, like, what you've seen, like, like I said, I've been here since 2016. You coming all the way from youth to now, like, what has the art scene meant to you? Where it's gone and what it's done for you.
I mean, the art scene as a whole has been amazing. Like, I think that, it gets I want to say a bad rap because, a lot of people look at poetry or look at art as kind of like soft. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially for us Black men, as
Right.
far as like, getting really in tune with, our feelings and stuff like that, which is something that I like to do with my poetry. I always look at my poetry as like therapy. You know what I'm saying? When I got into therapy for real, and let me say this, Black men, go to therapy.
Right. That's a fact.
Go to therapy for real. It's okay. You're not weak. You're not soft. You're not, all of these,
Yeah.
disclaimers that they try to say.
Right.
Do it, man.
It's the
It'll change
opposite.
your life.
Yeah, it's the opposite. It's strengthen that. Yeah.
Right. So, my therapist told me, because at first, you're talking to a new person, you get standoffish. So, I started writing down my thoughts or whatever, and thoughts that I've had from childhood on that I just kept suppressing. So now it's like, as me being older, me being a dad, it's like you got to kind of get that stuff out. You know what I'm saying? So, but as far as the city, like the city has really been, I'm gonna say maybe 10 years. It's really been opening up, and getting past the wire and the corner stereotypes. I mean, we still get that, when I'm out of town, I still get the, like Survivor type of thing where it's like, oh, you from Baltimore, you survived the
Still
wire,
here,
like,
right?
you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, but it's a whole nother side to that. I'm sure it's like that with any other city. It's the side that they glorify, and then it's the other side.
Right.
And the art scene is kind of like that other side. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's the art scene is more of a judgment-free zone. So, you really get to kind of let your guard down, really like talk to people who you like, oh man, you know what? I'm with that for real. I can understand that. And I mean the city, I'm seeing the city being more and more open to it. I'm seeing a lot more avenues for people to express their art, whether it be art shows, whether it be open mics, whether it be just different types of stuff. So I'm proud of where the city is going as far as that, but I still can't harp on the fact that I feel like we still got a long way to go in embracing that side. It's Rome wasn't built in a day, so but I like the steps that we're going forward for real, especially now for our younger people. Because I know coming up in the city, we didn't have spots like that. You didn't have spots, you either play football, play some type of sport, or you was in school, and the thoughts that you may have, whether it be, going through single parent households, going through drug use, all that type of stuff. We didn't necessarily have an avenue for that when I was growing up. But it's good to see now, especially with the way the kids are now, that you have that avenue for them to express themselves. And it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing to watch. It's a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful thing to interact with, and I try to dip my fingers in it as much as I can to kind of push it forward, because I feel like everything that you do, you should push forward for the next, for the next one coming up. So, and I know I didn't have that. So, to see that now and to get involved with different organizations and different people and see how they're reaching back and pulling the youth in, it's amazing for real.
Facts. No, I'm yeah, glad you said that. I mean, it's like, yeah, we had our formidable years, and then even still do, these days still have some opportunities to learn, but definitely them years that was important. And some did a lot, some were absent, but overall, that generation set the table, and now we're at these years was our turn and our responsibility. And yeah, and now, and that's the one thing is it's like, somebody can, whoever the case is, they can deserve criticism. And then also you can see when it's your turn to play the leader role. Like, oh,
Absolutely.
like two things can be true. Like,
Absolutely.
okay, this ain't no cakewalk. I'm running away. I get why you did that. Now, but again, we learn from everything, from the ones
That,
to pick up from, the ones to know what not to do. You know what I mean? There's always a lesson.
that,
So I respect that, and I appreciate. Yeah, Baltimore is definitely, and I ain't gonna lie, like outside in, we hear more, right? Like I was definitely believing the hype and the stereotype, and I got here and experienced none of that. It's been like
Right.
legit, absolutely none of that. So yeah, it's unfortunate, yeah, like stereotypes and rumors fly, they go crazy. I don't care who tells them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What I also want to point out is just kind of what you were talking about, the various yeah, your various talents, and then you're just speaking on the utilizing both um a therapist and just the arts as your expression. It's like one thing I've always just when I've seen you in the scene is like you're just very authentic, one, and comfortable too. There's not it's there's no air of nothing. And I guess that's a part of the people, like these, like post, but then they know you, these people know you, and two, so there's like nothing to prove. So you're
Right.
just real comfortable. And I think that also helps for whoever might just observe. Is just like, I mean, this is a very black, very, masculine male, and he's just keeping everything, just moving around, and just being chill in the environment and helping the vibes move along. How can I help the event? All that type of stuff, all the while not seeking the spotlight and a whole bunch of credit. But we know how, shout out Grace, we know how she is. She gonna
Right.
bring
Right. Right.
it.
Right.
She gonna
Right.
bring it over. It's not that you do it, and I think just it's not nothing extra you're doing, but it's speaking volumes. So I really
And see,
see.
the thing that's so crazy is like if you would have seen me maybe 10 years ago, the person you see is like I kind of got you kind of got to pinch yourself a little bit because it's like I've been like you see the growth within yourself because
Right.
I was never 10 years ago, I would have been in the dark corner of the room, just like, hopefully don't nobody see me for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was really, and then I finally was like, I finally kind of grow, you grow into yourself. You know what I'm saying? You kind of find your niche and you go with it. A lot of people, some people, it take, they might get it as a teen. They may get it as 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, but now it's kind of like I'm really in my zone of being unapologetically me. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
usually, I would just jump into, when you were younger, it's easy for you to jump into a crowd and kind of fade to black and do things like that. So it's like I kind of look at it now being me. Like this is who I was supposed to be. I used to be scared. I used to run from, different opportunities. Like I've had some of my poems was like years and years ago. And it was just like, man, I can't like being in front of people and all. Like they say all the time, the hardest thing to do is perform in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like to perform in front of people is like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how did I, and then one day I just was like, you know what? F it. Like, I'm gonna just go up there. And, I look at it like, I don't necessarily, when I get up on stage, I don't necessarily look at the audience per se. For some people get up there and they use the audience for validation. If they on and on, you feel fulfilled. But when I get my peers, like you, like Truth, like Grace, those people that snapping and all that,
Right.
I'm good with that. Like
Right.
I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying? And then to get in those spaces and to have people like, man, that was coming up to you and things of that nature. um it's amazing. You know what I'm saying? But I also don't lose myself in the gratitude. Some people, they hate us humongous. Like, but for me, it's just like, well, you could do that too. Like you know what I'm saying? I'm barely doing this for real. Like I'm not like, I still, what I'm saying? I've been doing this open mic stuff for like 3 years maybe. And I still get nervous. I still get, have those moments like, okay, I gotta all right, breathe, who style, all that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I tell people that. I tell people that all the time. People, you know, some people come up to me and they be like, man, I want to do that, but you know, the performing in front of people and I'm like, bro, I still struggle with that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think me going, like I said, once again to therapy for really helped me open myself up and really like get to the point where it's like, hey, just go, just do it. Just go up there, you know. If it doesn't, you know, if you get crickets, they heard you though. You know what I'm saying? If you get an applause, that's cool. If you get crickets, hey, you know what you got to do next time. But if I can impact one person when I get off that stage, I'm cool.
Right.
I don't need the whole audience applause. I don't need, you know, the gratification. I don't need people throwing dollars at me or nothing like that. If I can get that one person to come up to me after that show and be like, man, listen, I was just going through that. And, you know, thank you for putting it in perspective and things of that nature. I'm cool. The rest of the night, I'm good.
Right. And yes, we can get too caught up in immediate reaction. I think if
absolutely.
you know what I mean? Like now, if you do a piece and nobody says nothing, and then nobody says nothing after, and then, you know, like I've actually never had it happen, but people, so we always make up a scenario that's pretty much always going to be worse than reality, right? Like I absolutely have legitimately bombed before. Thought the poem was ready, wasn't ready, got up there fumbling off. Like I did all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a year and a half ago. I'm still alive. You know what I mean? Like the worst case, like, do I want it to happen here, you know, ever again? No. But what I'm saying is like, one, that would have been a tragedy if I experienced that and then ran. You know what I mean? Like I immediately was like, oh, I can't wait. Like, when's the next thing? What is my day? Like, let me get my cape.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like we gonna make up for this. And like you said, learn the lesson from it. But like even before all that, sometimes and oftentimes people are quiet because they're processing. And that is dangerous for somebody to be like, that didn't hit right now. Let me panic. Like, it's your piece. Like, that was one line. And then, and along that line, it's funny now for me to be like, this is a piece I wrote, and I feel like this line gonna hit, this line gonna get hit, this line gonna hit. This one did hit, this didn't. The one I didn't even really was a throwaway to me. Was the one that, right? So it's like, enjoy the process. Like just like see what, you know what I'm saying? See what the reactions are. But you're absolutely right. It's like don't let the standing applause get too much to somebody's head. Don't let the it wasn't all that be like, and that it was because I'm trash. Like that's the worst. Like we have to like just keep going.
And you gotta look at it like this is your piece, this is what you do, this is your niche, you know. So yeah, you may get up there after, you know, a Black Chakra or something. You like, man, how in the hell am I gonna get, you know, they like up here.
Right.
Then you look at it like, listen, I'm telling my story. My story may not hit like this person and this person for real, but it's my story for real. And the fact of me getting it out is enough for me. Like, I look at it like, you know, I forgot who said the quote for real. But, you know, they said if you make today 1% better than yesterday, then you good. So it's like, I remember looking at the stage like, man, I can't get up there. Like you know what I'm saying? Then I got closer. You know, it's like you sitting in the back row and then next thing you know, you in the middle. And then next thing you know, you're in the front row. And then before you know it, you on stage, you're like, well, damn. Like I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So that was me. Like it took me a minute. I was in the back, I was in the middle, I got up front, and then it was like one day I just automatically, you know, they were like, you know, if anybody else got something, and I was just like, you know what? I'm up front.
Right.
So it's like, what's the next step? Like, there ain't no other steps. I can't sit on the stage. You know what I'm saying? I can't sit on the stage. So it's like, hey, my next bet is to get up there. You know, so, and like I tell people, you know, like, I noticed a lot of people, like I said, like you and Truth and Black Chakra and all them, is like, my next thing is to like try to memorize, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I know for a fact that I still struggle with that part. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
the main reason one of the reasons why I created that name, a microphone, is because that's all I need is a mic and my phone. You know what I'm saying? But I also look at it like, Mike is short for Michael. So it's like, it's a play on words or whatever. But I was like, listen, it's okay. I try to tell all the people, I'm like, it's okay to get on your phone. It's okay to use your phone. It's okay to, if you want to put sunglasses on, whatever you got to do to help you for real, that's perfectly fine. Cause it's not necessarily, somebody, you so worried about, like you said, the gratification, the instant gratification or lack thereof, that it's like, oh, I don't want to get up there because, he up there without his phone. I got to get my phone now. Nah, my thing is, at the end of the day, for real, get your word out. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like getting it out, I feel like there's a lot of people that come into those spaces and it's like, I got something. All right, go ahead up there.
Right.
Nah, I had that too. I had all those doubts too. I had all those things. And like you said, I started writing and it was like, man, I know this one gonna kill him. Like, I know this line gonna kill him for real. And then you get to that line and you like, I got a little bit. And then you get further down the piece and you say this line and you like, this line was trash. And everybody like,
right.
You like, really?
Right.
So, so I think like you kind of got to throw caution to the wind, because it's like, I always ask myself when I get in certain situations, I always ask myself, like, listen, you're not hurt. You're not going to get hurt. Nobody's going to die, nothing like that for real. So what are you scared of? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's somebody, like I said, I always look at myself, whether it be, my daughter, whether it be my friends or whatever. I'm like, listen, you could use me as an example. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's so scared to be the first one. So I'm like, hey, I'll be the first one for real. I'll be that first one. If I come off stage, you like, man, listen, I was going to get up there. I ain't had the courage to get up there. And I'm like, all right. I talk to you a couple days later and I see you up on somebody else's stage. I'm like, see, they used me for real. And I humbly, I think that's one of my biggest humbling experiences, is having a person come to me and say, like, man, I got some stuff. I want to get up there. And you like, all right, well, go ahead up there. And they like, man, I ain't quite there yet. And you like, all right, you know what I'm saying? And you see him again and it's like, man, you see him on stage, you can't help but be like a proud father at that moment. Like, bruh, and you got words, you got this and that, da. Like, okay, I see you. You know what I'm saying? And I think at the end of the day, especially with us being Black men, with us being, a lot of times we don't get that. We don't get to be seen. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, I think for me, I think that's one of the biggest things, is like, I wanted people to see me. And then you didn't have to see me for my poetry. You didn't have to see me for, me doing what I do. I just wanted to be seen. And I wanted to make sure when I go to events that everybody gets seen. Like, I could tell you, it's been countless times where I've been in spaces and it's like, man, I needed that. That means more to me than any snap, than any clap, than any ooh, ah, like, even if it's not even my words, even if it's just like, yo, like this lady came up and was like, man, I needed a hug or whatever. And she was like, man, you don't know how much that meant to me for real. You know how, like, us as men, you can feel it, like, when you hug a woman, like, their weight just falls on you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to hear that, it's like, that means more to me, and getting than getting any type of award, any type of snap, any type of clap or anything like that for real. So I think that's like the hidden part of poetry for real. It's like, it could be therapeutic to somebody else. It could be, the ammunition they need. You might say a relationship poem, that might be the ammunition they need to lead that person, or reconcile with that person or whatever.
Right.
So that's
Right.
how I look at it.
No, for real. And it's like, yeah, perspective is so important because like get caught up in competing and comparing to Black Chakra comparisons to Thief of Joy. How about you're at the event? You can learn from that. Like he's right there. You know what I mean? Like there's plenty that I can get from watching, from getting on YouTube. But he's right
Right
before,
there.
right after me. Look on that side. Plus, if we talk from the open mic stage, this ain't no competition. It is a open
Right.
mic. Now, I mean,
Right.
there's inherent, I get all that, but don't let it get so far like when you were done with the event, you came into the event about winning or losing. That's
Right.
completely wrong, way to approach it. Now, God bless y'all who are doing slam poetry. I mean, now this, now you are
Right.
competing with these, man. That's a whole different, story. But even there, it's still lessons. You know what I mean? There's still experiences and there's still opportunity, what you should be taking from and building community and networking and interacting. So you're absolutely right. Like, there's no reason, not only is there no reason, but it very often happens that you got your headliner main, whatever, but you have whatever we want to call the category of whoever, they went up. We are still all somebody who's walked up to that microphone and shared something. We are not
Right.
a rare breed. we are very, very, admirable to plenty of people, including and it transcends, transcends money even because there are people who are financially successful and would never. You couldn't pay them
Right.
to come and stand in front of people and speak by themselves.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, we sometimes don't value what it is that we do regardless of level. Plus, you're not getting to that level unless you keep working anyway. You know what I mean? So like I know a lot of elite artists. Some of them are just naturally born. That's what it is. A lot of them put in crazy work.
Crazy work.
Want to be like that? Then put in those hours. You know what I mean? It's no cheat code.
Facts. Fact.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, definitely you touched on what we probably might hop over to. I I I've gotten I've started to enjoy saying this. It's like I like poetry community and the scene is almost like is this even real? Because in many other parts of my life and parts of my day and week, I don't just get to express myself. Ain't nobody looking forward to hearing me talk for
Right.
15 feature 5 minutes or 2 seconds. Like it's the what can you do? What can you do for everybody else? At their not serving at your capacity, but like what can they siphon from you? So it's like, to be around a group full of people with not agendas, not animosity, not comparison, not like be in a situation where we're appreciating each other's space and celebrating each other's space. It's a very rare situation, which is why I'm glad that DMV and Baltimore have the options and opportunities that we do have, and that people are continuing to increase and build more spaces. We got our top elite, well established, but I appreciate
Right.
small spots too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Intimate spots too. They have a spot. Um, I also, what I've enjoyed such good community in the area that sometimes people forget. I mean, these are still artists, still egos. So everything isn't roses and all that. But what I can say is, but that's not the norm. You gotta go hate.
Right. Right.
You gotta go
Right.
be jealous in private. Like, you're gonna look real silly trying to be the cause of the conflict in this beautiful space that we in. And I mean, that's good enough for me. Like, again, we don't get that every.
Right. Right. And there's the thing of like, even with the jealousy, like you said, it doesn't come out as what you would think is jealousy for real. A lot of times you might be jealous of something, but it makes you like, all right, I gotta go back in the lab because this
Mm-hmm.
ain't, homeboy hit it real, he hit it out the park with that one for real.
Right.
And it may be a poet that you may not like on a personal level. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you still have to admire their art, and it's still, whether you're driven, you gotta have something in the poetry game to be driven by. A
Right.
lot of us just don't go up there and just say whatever comes. It's not like a rapper where it's like a freestyle type of thing. It's more of a thing of you got to sit down and really put your thoughts together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And really be organic with what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? You can't go up there and say, listen, I pulled up in a Rolls Royce and then we lead a show and you at the bus stop. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's one thing that I love. That's one thing that I love about the poetry scene. It's kind of like it's kind of like an AA meeting. Like everybody kind of sitting around, they tell their stories.
Like
There's
that.
really no judgment. And even if there is, like you said, it's not like a outward judgment. Like you might be sitting there and be like, man, he really got some issues for real. But you're not gonna, man, you got issues.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
You gonna let him get
So it's like I think that's one of the biggest things that draws everybody to it now. And plus, a lot of us are getting a lot older. It's not really necessarily, we looking for chill atmospheres. We looking for, no everybody get along. Like most of the events, when you look at it, it's like a cookout almost, like a family reunion type. Everybody know everybody. Everybody seen everybody. Everybody is cordial to one another. Whether you know how family is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't stand your cousin, but you go to the cookout, y'all two-stepping together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's how I would compare the poetry community, and that's why I love it so much. It's like even when I get mad sometimes, but it's like, damn, I gotta work. Like I'm gonna miss this. I know it's gonna be fire. I know it's gonna be this, that, and the third for real. But I kind of got it in my head like the vibe ain't never, no matter where we at, no matter what day it is. No matter what time it is, if you got a certain number of us together, it's gonna be vibes off the bat for us. So whether you miss one, or you miss two or three, or you come back after a month or two, it's still gonna be the same vibe. It's still gonna be the same welcoming atmosphere. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I love about the poetry community is like it's a never-ending supply of love. It could be some criticism in there, but it's still love.
Mm-hmm.
It could be some, it's all love pretty much.
Right.
And like you said, that's rare to find.
Right.
Especially among not just people, but our people for
real. Yeah. It really is real. And so with that, it is easier. Like I don't have a problem taking constructive criticism when I feel that it's coming from a positive place, from a constructive place. It's not to put me down. It's to, hey, this is really encouraging. Like you build this, and I know, and I feel like you can build out. Like they feel like I can take that challenge, and then it's only up from there. So it's like when it's that kind of energy, it's really like a lot of times it's like, hey, learn this thing in 2024 that took, the OG 5-6 years. Like maybe you ain't got to be all that. You know what I mean? So it's like the people that I'm hearing it from are people I respect enough that I appreciate it. And they've told me like they tried to give the same energy to the next one, and that, and the ego wasn't there. And honestly, I don't even really trip on that too hard because, sometimes just that person and that person just ain't fit. You know what I mean? Like, or that timing ain't the time for that, person.
Right.
So it's like that one-on-one, that one-off situation, you don't trip off of or whatever. But like, no, for sure. So kind of, again, I want to, kind of head into it. Today is just so happens to be June 30th, and we are concluding men's mental health month. And, it's like, cool. There was, it came up in sincerity and in jest, like people were like, oh, okay, we giving y'all attention. I was at an open mic yesterday
and Buddy was like getting that, like, playfully getting at his man's. I'm like, bro, it's still like we still got 48 hours left. Okay,
Right.
you can't wait till July. So it's like, we got the jokes off on it. We have like themes on it, and that's cool and all. But you know, I I think individuals like you and myself, like we're not we're not bound by what last month was mental health period. This was mental. I think July. There's even somebody made a minority mental health month as well. Put some effort in, and I appreciate all that because people need that. But like this is a everyday thing. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So like for you, just in general, just what is one of the immediate things that are coming to your mind about, utilizing these various arts and talents that you have for expression and just keeping your mental, as put together as well as you can.
Man. Yeah, like I said, I think most of if you look at most of my artistry, it's more about it's centered around that basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like most of my poems are basically written from that space of, because I know, like you said, with men's mental health, we try not to, we got to stay strong and don't cry and all that other stuff. But I think poetry is a great avenue, or even not even just poetry, like journaling and, things of that nature where we can get that out. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't, you may get it out, ball it up and throw it away. You're still letting it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think poetry is another great and relatively new way of doing that. So especially, since we are in men's mental health month, it's like I would encourage all the guys to do that. It don't have to be poetry. It don't have to be a rap. It don't have to be, anything of those sorts. If that's not what your lane is. You know what I'm saying? You could easily have a journal, a diary. I know a diary is a little cliche because, people gonna be like, that's for girls. But either way, journal, diary, or something that you can get it out. You may not want to talk to somebody. It's not always easy. I know me personally, it took a while for me to be able to really open up. You know what I'm saying? Because you get the boys don't cry, you get the tough things and all that for it. And I really have to be honest, I really have to credit my daughter for that. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't preach to her feelings and vulnerability and stuff like that if I don't allow her to see me, be vulnerable and go through things that, and kind of let that quote unquote Bruce Banner show. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Versus always being the Hulk and being out here in the world and, being the tough guy and all that. And I think that was one of the things that really stunted my growth when I was younger was the fact that I had a lot of male figures in my life that didn't show that vulnerability.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So It took me a while to really feel comfortable enough to show that vulnerability because, I used to get teased a lot because I was quote unquote more sensitive than they were, which is weird because it's like, as men, you have to kind of find that balance. You know what I'm saying? You can't with especially dealing with women. You gotta find that balance. You can't be hard all the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think, for the majority of my life, I tried to live that way. It's like, nah, I'm not gonna hold everything in and I'm gonna hold everything in. And, I'm gonna just keep working, I'm gonna keep doing this, I'm gonna keep doing that. And one of my OGs told me this quote that I think it was Gandhi that said it. And he was like, holding on to anger is like holding on to a hot rock waiting to throw it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're the only one getting burnt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it took a while for me to really be like, man, like I got a lot of stuff that I can, and this was, and then on top of that, the therapy thing, it's like, it's scary. It's let's be honest, it's going to be scary for,
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying? For us, you know what I'm saying? For us as Black men, it's going to be tremendously scary. at first, but you do realize that, listen, everybody, I had to come to grips with the fact that everybody's not out to get me. Everybody's not out to hurt me. Not everybody is out to, now don't get me wrong, there's some people that's going to take your vulnerability and, throw it back in your face, or, they're going to tell who, they're going to keep it going. And now everybody knows, but at the same time, it's like, hey, that's all they can really do to you is that for real.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you got to look at it like, hey, this is me. This is unapologetically me. You can take it or leave it. You can love me or not. I'm still like, my biggest thing is, I always say this to my friends for when we leave, and I say all love always. It doesn't have to be a hateful thing. It's always gonna be love with me, and I try to live by that. So when you have those type of situations where it's like, hey, it's still love. It may be from a distance. It may be, yeah, we may have a misunderstanding, but I don't want nothing to happen to you for real at the end of the day, so now I think like I said, that's one of the biggest reasons why I got into poetry for real, was mainly because of my mental health. It was one of those things that, and like I said, going back to the therapy thing, it was going back to that and being like, okay, that was one of the homework assignments she gave me. Like, hey, if you don't want to, the first couple sessions I was really standoff, and she was like, hey, if you don't want to talk to me for real, get you a journal and write out how you feel, and as much detail as you can write it down in. And then if you don't want to, if you don't want me to see it, ball it up, throw it away for it. You can give it to me. I'll read it when you're not here, and we could talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those, like, that's what I needed, because it's like, I know a lot of men, I can only speak for me, but I feel like a lot of men go through this. We reach a certain level of openness where it's like, we don't want to feel like we're overstepping, and now it's like, oh, you crying, like, that's, you know what I'm saying? That's a little too much. So I know for me, I battle with that. I battle with that every day. Like, how much do I share? Like, I don't want to be quote unquote less than a man if I share too much. Now I'm crying and all this other stuff, and and then, so it's like, I still battle with that to this day. I still battle with that to this day, like having to have that kind of like emotional restraint, especially with who you, and it goes with who you talk to. It goes with, what capacity is that person at when you are explaining your stuff, because they may, life. You know what I'm saying? So that person that you may be ready to dump on, they might got their own stuff.
Yeah, that's real.
Or they can't really take all of your stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's a juggling act, really. It's with mental health, especially with us being men. You know what I'm saying? It's a really big juggling act. It's a really hard thing, especially because I feel like now as men we have to unlearn a lot of things, and it's hard for us to do that because we've been so comfortable in that space that now it's like, okay, listen, whatever, everything it's like everything that we were told was a lie. You know what I'm saying? Like, we always, okay, you're not supposed to cry. You're supposed to get up. You're supposed to scrape your knee off. You're supposed to keep going. You're supposed to do this, that, and the third. So a lot of us had built up that mindset, like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm all right for real. I'm good. And it's like, bro, you're not.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And what I've seen from a couple of guys that I've interacted with, a couple of my bros, is like, bro, when you really sit down and really talk to them and really give them that space, it's like, bro, I'm really not. Like, I'm really not. This is going on. This is going on. I feel like every man needs to have that group of brothers for real that they can really go to and be like, bro, I'm really not. This really not it. This really not. I'm good. Because I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go to work tomorrow and all that. But I'm really not. You know what I'm saying? And now that I think about it, my man Tice had an event last week,
Mm-hmm.
and we was actually talking about things like that where you need to get that camaraderie of like brotherhood and whatnot, and it can't be just, you know, because you see it all the time. We see a lot of guys, they you know, you got a group of brothers, y'all hang out together, you pop bottles together,
Right.
y'all get after the women together and all that.
Words, right.
Yeah, and then it's like you turn around and it's like, okay, when one of you guys is having a bad day, it's like, well, come on, bro, like let's go to the club. It's like, nah, why don't y'all go over that man's house, sit down with him, you know, and be like, hey. And sometimes what I've come to realize, sometimes it's not even really about talking. Sometimes
Right. Sometimes that
it's
space.
not. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. It's not always about talking, you know. And I tell that to my lady all the time. Like, I may not have the words to properly articulate how I'm feeling. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I might go distant. I might go quiet for real or whatever. But the simplest of things just kind of calms the noise.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it be, you know, holding my hand or whether it be, you know, kissing me on the cheek or something like that.
Right.
Like little things like that. And I think that's where you see a lot of people sometimes when people are going through things and it's like you tend to give people distance, like, nah, you can still be close. They may not want to talk to you about it, but it's little things that you can do to let them know, like, all right, I'm here whenever you want to talk.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This just may not be the space right now.
Right.
But hey, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh nah, he being weird. So I'm gonna go ahead and nah, bro, he really crying out for help, but he just don't know how to express it.
Right.
And I think that's what
I was just,
yeah.
just what we need to shift that perspective. First of all that I appreciate all that. What we need to start shifting the perspective is the same way that like, you know, no is a complete sentence. Like, I'm not really okay right now is like there's a lot it took to do that. It was all somebody did this yesterday. They I asked them a question. I appreciate they told me that. I asked them a question about you know, this story, this journey they were sharing. And he was sitting like trying to decide how he was going to filter the answer. Like, who am I talking to? Am I talking to another person who's going to judge the answer? And he was like, no, we're both at a at the spoken word event. I just heard you, you just heard me. Cool. And I was like, bro, I respect it. I appreciate it because you can overshare to the wrong person and it'll throw you off. Like, see, this is why I don't, because we do have to. So I'm not gonna act like there's no validity when people are like, I got to be careful who I'm talking. You absolutely. Some of there's some malicious, you know, maliciously intended people out there that will, you know, take your words and flip them. So yeah, no, it is important. It is important to, you know who it is or learn who you're sharing the information with. But like, it also is okay if you just don't. Like, if you had everything that all the words, you probably have all the solutions too. So maybe we just need a minute right now. So salute to the people who are, you know, giving grace with that. And what we need to learn as those who need the support is that this is not something people are great at, especially for Black men. They're not great at okay, how do I process the Black male that's being vulnerable? Because the same way you know didn't really come up with too many. They might have not seen many. Probably haven't dated a lot. You know, interacted with. So it's like this is all a group effort. And I appreciate the ones that know that there's work that need to be done way more than the person who keeps having these one word solutions, because it's almost never the solution.
No.
So no, I mean, all of that, all of that is very accurate and powerful. And I mean, yes, it's great. Shout out Tice, first of all. Big shout out Tice. Yeah, it's great. Like, yes, in the absolute best scenario, you find the same way we find those boxing, UFC yesterday, Olympics, you know, we get the group, you know, club and all these others, like all that's cool, but also having a good solid group of friends that build like foundation with is important. But let's not wait on that either. If your guardian angel is an old white one, you know what I mean? Like,
Right, right.
don't say, okay, until no, it's got to be my people, you know what I mean? Like, continue to seek for that. But right now, if that, like, my therapist is not an old white one. Actually, he's not. It's a dude now, but neither one of them are black that I am in
Right,
recent years. For me, I'm just, in my journey, that's okay. So I'm not,
right.
if you're not comfortable there, that's cool. I'm just saying, like, don't intentionally, people
Limit
who are
yourself.
starting, yeah, don't shun help because it doesn't look like what you want. What you want is the help. And if God brings you the help, universe brings you the help, like, we're gonna start here and we can move along. But it's all better than lying to ourselves. Yeah, I got it. Now I'm good. We know that's not
Yeah.
working.
And I think too, I think that one of the most scariest things that I had to deal with was um instead of like running from it, you gotta kind of turn around and face it. And I think
Mhm.
I think that's where a lot of people are scared of. You know what I'm saying? Like one thing that I can say, and shout out to my mom for that. She put me in a room when I was a young age with my father, and I had a lot of built up, animosity towards him. But once I got older, it was like, hey, she was like, listen, let them know how you feel respectfully. It's still a peer thing, it's still an elder thing, but let them know how you feel. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the scariest things that we have to go through, not just as black men, but people, is to turn around and really face that fear. Like, you have a fear of okay, your mother wasn't there or whatever, but you don't want to tell your mother that because that's your mother, you love her. Okay, if she loves you the way she says, then she should be able to be open and transparent enough to listen to how you feel.
Right,
And that goes for mother, that goes for father, that goes for brother, uncle, whoever it was that caused you that pain or caused you that trauma for real. Instead of running from it, or instead of burying it behind the whole, that's your family or whatnot for real, you got to kind of get it out for real. And it's not
right,
necessarily for that person. For that person, it may just be for you. I think
right,
one of the biggest lessons I've learned from therapy is to forgive people when it's not for them. Forgiveness is not for that person, it's
right.
really for you.
Let
You
go
know
of
what I'm
that
saying?
rock.
I think that's where the proverbial light bulb went on. You know what I'm saying? Because I walked around with so much ill will towards people, and it was like, when I had those conversations with those people, it was like I got out what I wanted to say, and maybe they didn't, receive it the way I thought I would, the way I thought that they would. But it's like at the end of the day, you have to look at it like that wasn't for them. That was
Hmm.
for you. You let them know how you feel. And at the end of it, you just say, hey, I forgive you for it. So, and that'll be, I think that was one of the things that was like a major weight off my shoulders, is like really coming to grips with people who had let me down in the past,
Right,
and really coming to grips with that and really saying, hey, I forgive you for it. Now, I'm not absolving what you've done. I'm not, okaying your actions. I'm not, no, but for me to progress in life, I gotta leave this right here.
right,
You know what I'm saying? And if leaving it right here means I gotta forgive you, even though the situation may not be worth forgiving, then that's something that I gotta do in order to progress in my life for real,
right.
and not have that hanging over my shoulder. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes on the road to life, you gotta throw the luggage out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Everybody.
saying? Sometimes you gotta do that for real in order to progress. And I think a lot of people, that's what they're going, that's what they're harboring. It's like you got, whether it's the woman who's carrying around baggage from last relationships all the way down to fatherhood. I mean, absent fathers, to the the man harboring relationships, resentment from his mother, and absent father, and now relationships, and nobody really understands them and all that stuff, and you just carrying that. It's like sometimes you gotta look at it and be like, hey, I gotta let this go some kind of way. and it can't be through, you know, as a man, you can't look at it and be like, oh, I'm gonna just let it go, and now you breaking all these relationships, and you got a negative impact on your children, and all that stuff for real. Like, I think that was one of the biggest things, you know, and plus you got to understand too, like, you got to really dig deep into those things and really not be real small-minded to those issues.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, through having that conversation, me becoming a father gave me a lot more grace towards mine. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
So we got to the point where we started talking, and then it was one of those situations where it was like, well, him and his father had a rocky relationship.
Mm.
So it's like, how do I expect, you know, he only doing what he know.
Right.
And that's what, you know, a lot of the males in my life, when I sat down as when I got older and really had those conversations with them, it gave me a whole different outlook, you know, and it really softened my heart and really broke the ice off of it for real, hearing their stories and being like, damn, I was blaming you for this when it really wasn't you. It was what you knew from your relationship before that. Like, it wasn't nothing but things being passed down, whether it be negative or not, from what your father did or what your family dynamic was like. So I think people got to really dig deep into the backstory of whatever they're dealing with, trauma, whether it be like your father, your mother, whoever. You really got to dig deep in that, whether it's conversations with them or conversations with other family members or whatever. You really got to dig deep, because a lot of times I've noticed that it's not necessarily them. It's not necessarily your mother. It's not necessarily your father. You know what I'm saying? They only doing what they know.
Right.
And then if you have, you know, your grandfather only doing what he know. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, when you see, like, when one thing that I had to come to grips with, like, my grandfather's not the type of guy that he's not a hugger. He's not a, you know, when it comes, I'm gonna say that when it comes to males,
Okay.
like, you know, my sister and them, he'll give them a hug, kiss on cheek, whatever. But when it came to males, it was more of a handshake, you know, things like that. So it was like, you know, I was like, well, damn, why he don't, you know what I'm saying? But once I started looking back at it, and, you know, my mother would tell me different stories, like, listen, he was raised like this. So it made sense now, like, oh, okay, so I'm really not necessarily mad at him. I'm more or less mad at the man before him and the man before him. But then you look at where he's come from, and it's like, I see him now and it's different. You know what I'm saying? I see it now because it's different. And I feel like I had a hand in that, maybe subconsciously, but I feel like I had a hand in that when it comes to him being not as hard as he used to be.
Right.
You know, and sometimes you had to take them, you know, like I said, me personally, I was the second grandchild. I was my mother's firstborn. So it's like, a lot of times you get the guinea pig type of thing, where it's like, you're the experiment. You're the, you know, so you kind of got to look at it from that aspect. Like, okay, they didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They may not have known what they were doing. So, and you can't expect them to know. Nobody was there to show them, okay, listen, you need to do this. And you got to look at the times too. You know what I'm saying? Like, my grandfather grew up in times with segregation and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's a totally different mindset that he has,
Right.
as far as raising, like, he wanted to raise me to be strong and all this other stuff. And in part he did, but at the same time, I still had to adapt to the times of being more transparent and being more open, and not always being I work, I come home, I'm the disciplinarian, I'm this and that. It's expanding on that now based on the times that we're in, because the kids are different, you know, the environments are different, you know, so it's like, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt sometimes. So I think a lot of people will sit there and it's like, well, I'm mad because my father wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? And I did that too. But at the same time, it helped me become a better father for my daughter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times and I get that all the time with a lot of people when they see me on social media with my daughter and stuff like that, and they ask like, um, you're a good father and stuff like that for real. I don't know what I'm doing as far as, being a father and stuff like that because my father wasn't there. And I was like, well, if you think about it, you actually do know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And I tell them all the time, and it's kind of like a therapeutic answer or whatever, but it's like, bruh, you know what it was like when, for example, you know what it was like when your father said, hey, I'm gonna come pick you up at such time, and you on the porch waiting and he don't show up.
Right.
So when you have kids, you don't want them to feel that way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know that feeling. I would never want to put my daughter through that feeling.
Right.
So when my daughter called, Daddy, we got to dance on such and such, or I got an award ceremony on this day for real, I'm moving heaven and earth to get there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to pay it forward. You can't, and you have to look at it like the energy that you're giving to your children or to your friends is subconsciously healing the inner person in you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not just raising my daughter, I'm raising the inner child within myself.
Right.
So I have to be there for myself. I have to do things for myself too. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people don't want to do that. They just kind of want to sit in whatever is going on because it's comfortable. Like a lot of people get comfortable with that hurt, with that, trauma. And it's like, you can't do that for real because you'll never get out of it.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
You're that one is I mean, again, plenty of gems, but like there are a lot of people that they're when they get anything near a positive situation, it's chaotic because what am I supposed to do with this? I'm not familiar with this. What do I do with that? Yeah, no, that's a great point. I'll even come back to, you at this point, you're a man now, you're an adult, even though you're still, you were still interacting with father, you still like, we're now into the times where we're exemplifying some leadership. So setting yourself up as a safe space to be a landing spot for the conversation that is, hey, I know I was messing up. I know I messed up. Here's some of the why, knowing that this is a conversation that you're going to receive. I mean, it can still be kickback and pushback, but in a man to man, respect to respect level versus just a pointing fingers and blaming and all that type of stuff. Like there's power in that. That being a landing spot or being able to control the conversation and narrative for like, no, we're here for productivity.
Right.
And shout out to your mom for setting that table for when, at that particular time that she did it then. So it's like, no, we just have to learn. And you only do that from experience. Like there's more than one definition of leadership, manhood, of strength, and it's not all brute force. It actually isn't majority brute force.
Right.
I think I'm willing to argue.
Because it's like you definitely, that, like I said, it's a part of it, but I think a lot of us look at it like that's the main part. And it's like, and I always look at it from the analogy because I used to like, when I got in like my 20s, I was really like into like National Geographic for real.
Right.
So if you ever look at, if you ever look at a lion, if you look at him for real, when it's time for him to be ferocious and aggressive and mean and callous and all of those things, he does it. But then you also get to see him laying on the ground and the kids climbing all over him and biting his tail and all this other stuff. And he just like, yeah.
Right.
So it's like, that's the perfect analogy for men, and not just men, but black men in general for real, where it's like, bro, you don't have to be hard all the time. You know what I'm saying? That'll kill you trying to be hard all the time.
Right.
And it's like, you'll never let anybody in. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying, like you said before, I'm not saying you tell everybody your story and stuff like that for real. That's not what I'm saying. But you got to know when to turn that off.
Right.
You know, and I think that's one of our biggest problems with not just the black men, but the youth as well. Like they don't know how to turn that off. It's like I'm outside, I gotta be hard, I gotta be, hey, watch where you going, I gotta be, whatever, whatever. And it's like, bro, you ain't gotta be that way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times when I interact with them, as long as you coming from a place of respect and not like, bro, I'm not trying to be an authority figure. I'm not trying to be your father, none of that for real. You feel what I'm saying? So I give you respect, you give me respect.
Right.
It's the simple transaction.
Right.
But I see it a lot of times with these young boys where it's like, I gotta be hard, I gotta be tough, this gotta be that. And then it's like, bro, you gonna end up killing yourself at 30.
Right.
Whether it be a heart attack, health problems, or whether it be you in jail or dead or stuff like that.
Right.
You could kill yourself like that for it. It's not as you don't have to do that. So anytime that I try to, anytime that I could come across them and try to really talk to them and talk to them from their perspective, not necessarily mine.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Oh,
I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that's the biggest disconnect because I know, we all was young boys back then. We didn't want you coming up preaching to us for real. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
then you preaching to us and then you're not listening. You're
Right.
not listening to us when we tell you our feedback. You just see me on the street corner. You don't know that I ain't ate in 6 days.
Right.
You don't know that this the same shirt I done worn for 2, 3 days for real. You don't know that. You just like, man, you need to get off this corner.
Right.
So it's like, bro, you really gotta dig. Like I said, going back to what I said before, you really gotta dig into people's stories and really be open and transparent with them, and not just talk to them from the perspective of you know it all because you're maybe 4 or 5 steps ahead of them in your healing journey. You look back and now you're trying to tell them it's like, nah, you gotta hear them where they. You gotta come back and listen to them where they at,
Right.
and then grab their hand, literally, figuratively, or whatever. Grab their hand and kind of hold them back forward so they can get the way you going.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that, like, as far as like with the mental health side of it, I think that's one of our biggest things too, is the fact that you have people in different areas and it's like, bro, you were once there. So talk to them. Don't talk to them like you're looking down on them from because you're a couple steps ahead of them. You know what I'm saying? Talk to them from a thing of, hey, watch step right there.
Right.
Turn left right here. Do things like that instead of it being a situation where it's a thing of like, because I know for a fact when I see the dudes interact with the OGs, it's like, man, I ain't trying to hear that. But when I talk to him, it's like, bro, come on, you ain't supposed to be, you shouldn't be doing that for you right, bro, you right, bro. So, and then like you said, everybody's not in tune to hear a message a certain type of way.
Right.
Sometimes you gotta coddle a little bit. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Sometimes you gotta nurture them a little bit. Sometimes it's not always gotta be pounding the pavement.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Sometimes it's gotta be a thing of, hey, you good, little bro? Like, you all right? Yeah, I'm all right, man. You know what I'm saying? And I get that a lot for real. And I don't know what it is, but I get that a lot when I'm out. It's just like I don't know whether I got the aura on me or something or what. But it's like, you always had the random person
Right.
just come up and start talking to you. You like,
Right.
I don't even know you. Like, what? But I appreciate that opportunity. And like that goes back to the poetry scene. Like a lot of people do that. So it allows a lot for us to share.
Right.
And you never know. I think that's another thing that we had to realize too. Like a lot of us have similar stories. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us can really bond off of that for real. You know what I'm saying? Like people don't realize how many guys are walking around with that father wound on them, or how many women are walking around with that father wound on them for real. And
Right.
it's like, okay, I did this, or um, I did this, or this happened to me, or whatever. You like, damn, that happened to me too for real. It's like, well, how did you feel? And that's another way of being open and transparent and honest and having to be able to vent with somebody who can really sympathize with what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Versus somebody who just want to hear you because they want to be in your business, or they want to judge you, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So that's my thing. I encourage a lot of guys, like I said before, I encourage a lot of guys to do therapy, to find a mentor or OG or something like that you can really conversate with. Have that band of brothers that you can really, y'all can come together and just sit on the porch and talk, or things like that. I encourage that for real for us, because that's what we need. It's not, that's one of the most craziest things. Because I'm looking at, you look at the women, they got that. They got their circle of friends, and they may have 4 or 5 different friend groups. They got the friends they party with. They got the friends that they talk to. They got the friends that they bring to the cookouts. They got the friends that they go on, the brunch with. They got it. We should have that too. You should be able to have that group of friends where, as though, okay, these are the guys that I can go to the poetry events with. These are the guys that I can turn up with. These are the guys that I may talk to, but they into some whole other stuff, and that's cool. I just know I can't hang out with them. I can't bring them to, the brunch for, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I got my homeboys I could do brunch and all these other outings with. Then I got my homeboys that I can lead them in the street.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think that would really help. First we got to get out of the whole tough guy thing. You know what I'm saying? Your tough guy should be the fire hydrant in the building. You break it in case of emergency. It's there.
Right.
You know it's there.
Right.
You don't need it all the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think once we get out of this whole tough guy, I got to be tough all the time, what you looking at, this, that, and the third. I think if we could get past that, we'd be on the right track. But that's the hardest thing, because, like I said, we've grown up in a society, in a family dynamic, to where it's like that's how you're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And then you hear the women say, "Well, I want a man that's this, that, and the third." So you don't work on the other stuff. You just work on that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then now you have women saying, "Well, I want a man that's available emotionally," and now you like, what is that?
When do we? Right. At what point did we build that?
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest things that we have to get out of, because I look at it like, I walk around, I try to give everybody the respect that they deserve, for real. I don't try to walk into a room and try to control it or whatever. I don't try to walk in like I could beat everybody in here. I don't try to do that, for real. You know what I'm saying? I just walk in and be like, hey, I'm just here. Like, I got my space, my zone, my energy, for real. You got yours. I'm not trying to intrude on yours unless you allow me to, for real. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you the type of person you like, all right, we're going to dap it up, cool. If you the type of person like, bring it in, cool. But I'm never the type of person that will sacrifice and be like, nah, I want to control all the space.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So for me, like, it was really pivotal that I got out of that, for real.
Yeah.
Because it only leads a certain number of ways.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys don't realize that. They just feel like, oh, it's being a man, for real. And it's like, to a certain extent, but is it really necessary all the time to be that way?
And it's wild when you really think about it. It's like, yeah, like you said, we see women do it, and also, even the whole, fruit group. Sometimes you have that, let's say, unicorn, and they can't step in different circles, and it's so cool. But like, if they can't, it's okay to meet people where they at, including yourself. Meet like have the discretion to know, like, this is my environment, and this is gonna lead to, this ain't no right decision that I need to make. But like, so if we can see that women have the capacity to do it, if we can see that, like, yes, I mean, all these months, right? All these months, there's multiple other awarenesses, right? So there's also pride this month, right?
Right.
Is it the same hustle and go get it mentality that we can have for the bag? Go make your friend groups make sense. Go make your mental health situation be right. Like, you're absolutely right. There is not a single time in the world, that we say, and it's not that we're wrong. Yes, like you already said, we will confide in the wrong woman who throws that in our face. We will trust in the wrong person that lead us. All that. Like, yes, that is. It's not at all that that's not true. It's that. So what do you do about it? Like, it
Right.
was messed up. So I'm not here to discount that thing that happened, but it's like, but so as a man, let me continue to work to go put myself in a situation that's different, which sometimes means get help. That doesn't mean figure it all out by myself.
Absolutely.
Matter of fact,
Absolutely.
it probably like if we just let me do it all by myself, it'd have been done 8 years ago.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So it's not simply that, but there's power in finding the right person to help. So it's like, yes, you're absolutely right. It's the scale has always been tipped, and it will be for the foreseeable future. But again, we have that power. We have done some amazing things. We have seen grandmothers, mothers, fathers do amazing things with less. So so apply that energy. You know what I'm saying? Apply that
Exactly.
energy to
Exactly.
these things, because there ain't no point, getting bills paid and then dying at 50 from heart disease, ain't it? It
Right.
ain't it.
Right. Right.
We don't, it's not, that happens to black people because it's genetic. It happens because it's systemic. And the fortunate thing is we do have something that we can do about it. And we're doing ourselves a disservice to not put any of our efforts towards changing that scenario.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, like you said, for real, it's like we get so caught up in that mentality, like you said, of being the provider and stuff like that, and doing this and doing that and working, and I got to make sure this and that. But it's like, bro, you got to find time to be you, to let that provider, protector thing go and just be, whether that's, you going to the gym or you playing the game or, things of that nature. You have to carve out a certain time or a certain amount of time for yourself.
Yep.
You can't get wrapped up in like being the father and being going to work and being a son and being a brother and being this and being that. Like, what happened to you? What happened to you? Like, what
Right.
happened to, you know, and I think that's where we kind of get a little messed up, is the fact that we get so many hats that is like, bruh, you don't even remember what your head looked like, because you done went from hat to hat to hat to hat to hat. And now you like, bro, you finally take all that off. Now you like, I didn't even know I had braids under there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you gotta get out of that whole thing of, because, and like I said, for me, it may not be all the time. You may not need a couple hours every day or whatever, but you need some time to really
Right.
be, you know what I'm saying? Because we'll get so wrapped up in all those other things. And then it's like when those things go away, like for example, you get so wrapped up in fatherhood that, okay, when your kids get older and they move out, now you like, what the hell am I gonna do with my life? Or you don't work for uh 50 years and now you're retired and now you like, what am I gonna do?
Who am I? Yeah. Who am I when
Yeah,
it's
like
time to stop?
you see so many older people retiring and then they go get a part-time or they go
Right.
get, they do something, and it's like, you retire, you just worked 60 years. Like,
Right. What we
you
doing?
need to go enjoy life. And they like,
Right.
I don't
I
know
don't know
what
how to.
that's
Right.
like. Like, I don't know what do you mean? Like, why
Right.
don't you go somewhere?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you gotta make that time for you. You know what I'm saying? And people get so caught up, like me, every now and then, I go out by myself. I might go to the movies by myself. I might go get something to eat by myself, take a walk by myself. You gotta have that time to get your thoughts together for real for the next thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and people get so people look at me like I'm weird because they was like, yo, you went to the movies by yourself?
It's
You went
wild.
to you went out to dinner by yourself? Yeah, I sat at the bar or I sat at the booth, yes, by myself, and I ate. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I did that. That was the time that I wanted to take for myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's another thing too that we got to get over. We got to get over this thing of, yes, we were not created to be by ourselves. Yes, that is a fact. But you still need to have that time for yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You still got to
Absolutely.
have that time for yourself. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? You, like you said, you'll die at 50 and you don't have time for yourself, and then now you wherever you go, you like, damn, I should have did this. I could have
Right.
did this. I
Right.
could have did that.
But
You know, I should have did this. I should have did that. Or like I said, you get 50, 60 years old, you retire, and you realize I ain't been nowhere. I ain't done nothing.
right.
You know, we was like you said, we wasn't meant to put on we wasn't put on this earth to just pay bills and die.
Right. Just all the whole time. Right. Right. And
Yeah, we wasn't put on the earth for that. We were put on the earth to enjoy the earth for it.
yeah. And another challenge that I like to make for for the men, the black men who are listening is like the again, absolutely. You, you can't control. You could, there's other people with foul intentions. However, we don't need to be spending any more energy trying to argue with a woman that says, as a man, blah, blah, this, and that. Like, she's not a man. And you are wasting your time trying to convince her that, of any of that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's like that type of the malicious type. Again, there's plenty of wisdom in all of that a woman can provide. We know the difference. It's the arguing, it's the ego that says, no, I gotta go get in these trenches and get in this argument with this person over me, who I am, what I
Right.
need to be doing, and all that. So it's like that is a gigantic waste of time, and I would love for us to, because I'm not innocent. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm not,
Right.
I have done, these wasted time like this before. So it's like, cool, make it last time. I welcome you to make it last time, your last time. You know what I mean? Like that's not in the journey of finding myself. Because if I'm over there, then it's stay out of women's business. So if it's like I hear
Mhm.
you, I feel you. So we about to keep that same. You know what I mean?
Right.
We have to keep that same energy. And I'm gonna focus on what actually needs to be done. That's just like kind of that busy work. Or if I go argue on the internet, I did something. You ain't do shit productive. You did something.
Right.
Yeah. You spend some
Right.
time.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, no, that don't let that one be a distraction. And from all these potential, all these productive scenarios and experiences. Forget black, white, woman, male, older, younger. Like that's we know the difference when it's energy that's moving in a direction. We know it's tough because it's building a muscle versus this is ridiculous and it's comfortable because it's conflict again, and that's what
Right.
I've grown up.
Right.
It's like but it's dangerous. Like at what cost? What are you gonna give up something?
Yeah.
Doing so.
And like I said, you have to be willing to say, you have to be willing to put those boundaries up and being able to be strong enough to say, hey, take it or leave it. Like, you know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Stand on it.
I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. I'm gonna make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? You gonna make mistakes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, the best I can apologize to I'm doing the face, but the best apology is change behavior. So
Right.
yeah, I may bump my head this time, or I may trip over this crack this time. But when I walk down the street again, I know that crack is right there and I'm gonna step over it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like you said, when you get into those arguments of as a man, you're supposed to do this, that, and the third, my thing is I always look at it from the response of where did you get that from? Because a lot of times, no disrespect to the ladies, but a lot of times when you say that, it's coming from the woman who didn't really have a legitimate example. You just going by, you just
Just
going
sound
by social media,
right.
you're going by society standards and stuff like that. you going by that. So you like, oh, as a man, you supposed to do this for real. You know what I'm saying? And then you gotta look like I tell some women all the time, the stuff that you're asking for came from a different time. Yeah, my grandfather worked at Bethlehem Steel for 30, 40 years. My grandmother was home with the kids. But that was back then.
Right.
I don't know if you noticed, but inflation real. You know what I'm saying? Inflation real. So
Right.
as much as we listen, if I had, and I used to tell women this for when I was single. I'm like, listen, if I had that type of atmosphere, that type of job or whatever for real, I'm sure any man, if they had that, they wouldn't. They'd be like, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna pay. I got everything. I'm gonna pay for
Right.
everything. You just
Right.
raise the kids, blah blah blah. In a perfect world, that's what we would want. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if you noticed, but this world is far from perfect.
Right.
So we got to do what we got to do. But then to further that argument, it's like, okay, so, and this is how I always say, I'm like, okay, if you say as a man, you want them to pay all your bills, you want them to do this, you want them to do that. But like TD Jake said, if I do that, I'm not gonna have time for you. So if I'm working 14-hour days, I come home and I'm tired, you can't get mad. This is what you wanted. So
Right.
you have to be, it's like how they used to say, like when the girls would go into church and be like, please God send me a good man. And he send you a good man, but it's still some flaws with him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, when we having these arguments for real, you got to be mindful of it. You know what I'm saying? Because we're coming from a basis of a false reality for real, or maybe you're coming from a past that no longer exists. So when you have guys saying, well, as a woman, you're supposed to be at home cooking and cleaning and all that stuff. Well, all of the stuff that you're saying is basically adult function. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you know what I'm saying? I cook and clean for my damn self.
Right.
So you mean to tell me that when I get a woman, I'm supposed to stop that? No.
Right.
It's supposed to be a partnership.
Right.
Everybody, what we looking at now is we're in the transactional era.
Yes. There it
We in the
is.
transactional era. Like now, it's like the girls want the man to pay their bills and all that stuff for real. And then the guys are saying they want the girl to do this, 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 and this. And it's like, we not at the time for that. Because now we both work.
Right.
We both do this. So my thing is, okay, let's fill in the blanks when each other is not doing our part. Because like they say, sometimes I may get off early and I might be full of energy. So what
Right.
you saying, if I get off early, I'm not supposed to come home and start dinner because, oh no, that's my wife. She gotta cook.
Right. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
You
And
know?
I think the wild thing about all this what they started fantasizing about the past is at what point was emotionally intelligent that was the norm. Like so now we're just making stuff up, right? So it's like you're absolutely right. Like so if you get caught up and as there's social media, if you get caught up in the gender war pool and everybody in the transactional pool, everybody's saying, what can I siphon off? How much can I pull from the next person? And then while giving the least of myself, it's a dangerous thing to be in. But fortunately, sounds like yourself. Fortunately, I have found a situation of a reasonable person that's willing to interact and engage in partnership, and that's a
Right.
whole different. It's
Different ball game.
It's different ball game. Like we understand, hey, if something got to roll like this for now, it's for the greater good. And then if it shifts here, I'll keep the same, apply it for that situation. She'll apply, like it's give and take because the overall goal is everybody to win, not
right.
can I get mine, and it's kind of the same thing. Like most of the time we look just even on that whole relationship thing and you look at something that fell apart, friendship, friendship, romantic, whatever the case is, you probably saw a clear sign that you just either you didn't see it at first that time or you overlooked it. But now when it's that reflection time period, you're like, it's that crack in the road. Okay, cool. When I see this, when this happens again, I know how to move accordingly. And that's really like it's when we're just talking about just general, like kind of mental, or sometimes we don't treat like mental or relationships the way we apply street smarts and professional life. Like there are just certain environments that you just don't need to be in. Like that is going that like it would be a miracle if it worked well. So why am I intentionally going down this path trying to make great out of it? You know what I mean? It just, why am I, why is the computer, why do I have this bottle of water next to the computer knowing if I spill it? Why am I being so reckless with the machinery knowing I can lose a hand in 2 seconds? Like, don't put yourself in these scenarios and in these environments can eliminate so much. And part of that on that is like, but I really like that girl. I really like that dude. Like aesthetically, they look like what I want. It's like that's not even the most important thing. And you
And
can
see,
get that.
the thing is too, I think one of the biggest things, like you said, when we go back to the gender war or whatever,
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is accountability and responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because all I keep hearing is women saying, as a man, you're supposed to do this. And I hear men saying, as a woman, you're supposed to do this. But we don't, and basically what it is you got to realize that you're talking about a select few.
Right.
You're not necessarily talking about all the women, because there's a lot of women out here that do that.
Right.
It's just that, like you said, you're looking at the aesthetics of it. You know what I'm saying? You want a girl that's built like this person, she built like your favorite actress. She got a nice personality. She got this. You looking for a Build-A-Bear type of
Right.
situation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, bro, she may be, she may not have all of the qualifications, but then you have to look at yourself and be, what's more important? You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, well, she gotta have that, she gotta have that. What's more important? Because you asking, okay, she got a bad body, but her attitude is shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Her attitude is garbage for her. She talks to her kids disrespectfully. She talks to you disrespectfully. But you looking at it from the aesthetics like, oh, but she bad though. You see that all the time.
Oh yeah.
Come on, you see that all the time with us.
100%.
You see that all the time with us. Shorty bad as hell. But then you get around the homeboys, you like, she's stressing me the hell out. Like she just be just that, man, she got taken all my money, blah, blah, blah. And you like, bro, well, why don't you leave? Man, you see what she look like?
Right.
It's like, bro, that's not always the case for her.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we got to start looking, like I said before, we got to start turning around and looking at us.
Right.
And start G-checking us.
Right.
Instead of saying, well, the women ain't being submissive, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, bro, are you giving them something to be submissive for? Like, you got to realize that submission is for them, from what I hear from women, is more natural. So it's like, if you give them something, then they might, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like they don't want to do the stuff. A lot of them, when you talk to them, they don't want to do the masculine stuff that, you know what I'm saying? They don't want to do that.
Right.
They want a man to come along and do that so they can be in their soft life. So they can be the passenger seat princess. They could be all of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But we so busy trying to, no, you supposed to do this, and you're not giving them no stuff.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. Like, you want a man to pay all your bills, but you're not giving them nothing. You know what I'm saying? If you tell me you want me to pay all your bills, and I tell you, well, I want you to cook and clean, I don't want to do that.
Mm.
Well, what's the, you know what I'm saying? I'm just using that as an example, but to me, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, you can't be like that. You got to be looking at yourself, and you got to start calling yourself to the table for real and being like, okay, this is what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? This is what I need to do then that way maybe I can get that person that I'm talking about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They don't look at it like, oh no, I'm gonna just be me, and you just have to accept it. It's like, no, you can't be like that. You got to be willing to say, hey, I got this going on, and if she like it, she like it. If she don't, she don't.
Right. Right.
But I think, like you said, though, we get into this whole thing where it's like, I like her. She could be totally bad for me. You know what I'm saying? But I like her. So you're willing to go through all the red flags. Like you said, you've seen stuff and you like, not still bad though.
Yeah.
Still bad though. So I'm gonna go ahead and overlook that until it come back to bite you in the ass. And now you're like, damn.
Right.
Could have left like 8 months ago.
Yeah, some of that's ego and some of it's laziness. It's like, bro, you know that, and I think, and that's one thing that's wild to me as a man is like, I get it. Like, I'm seeing amazing all the time, but like, you don't have to just put up with whatever. If it doesn't make sense, it's showing you over and over, it doesn't make sense. Go find what makes sense. It like that's one of the privileges that we have, but it's like again, it's a lot of it is ego based. It's like nah, but it needs this needs to work, and it's like at what cost, bro? Like at what?
That's the thing. That's the thing. They don't ask themselves that question. Like, so you willing to be miserable for the rest of your life? You done married this fine chick. You know what I'm saying? You married the aesthetics, and now you 10 years in, and you like, man, I shouldn't have.
Right.
Like, bro, nah, you knew that from the jump.
Right. Knew it the whole time.
You knew that from the jump. So I think, and like I said, we gotta get out of this thing. Like I said before, we gotta get out of this thing of, yes, we weren't meant to be alone. We were created for codependency, but we were meant for the right codependency. Like,
right.
You can't sit there and be like, well, I may not find enough. Well, that's the point. You're not supposed to find another person like this person.
Right.
If they treat you the way they treating you for real.
I want that again. Yeah.
Yeah, why would you want that again? You like, I don't know if I want. You shouldn't want to have a person like that again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't want that. You should be wanting to find somebody new. And you have to look at it like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It don't necessarily mean that, you take out of it what you take out of it. You know what I'm saying? So you always got to do that self-check. And I think a lot of people, where they mess up at is when they go through breakups, stuff like that, their first instinct is to get back into another relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, bro, no, you need that time for evaluation to be like, okay, what did I do wrong? And I think that's a big thing because most people don't do that. Most people just be like, oh, she wasn't this.
Wouldn't have done that, shouldn't have done that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was doing everything that I was supposed to do.
Right.
Were you really?
Right.
Were you really?
If nothing else, let's just pretend they really did. Well, then you spent X months too long with the wrong, like, there's your fault. So you ain't do nothing cool.
You can admit that.
You wasted your time.
Everything I was supposed to do.
Right.
And I stayed with her. So, hey, shame on me. Next time, first red flag I see, I'm gonna have to get up out of there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I think a lot, like I said, it goes back to those two things for me when it comes to this quote unquote gender war is it comes to accountability and responsibility. Like we as men, we have to come to grips with the fact that it's BS men out here.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? And women have to start looking at their side and being like, it's some BS women out here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times what happens is social media to its detriment is giving the negativity a loudspeaker.
Yes.
So you don't get to see, like every now and then, like on my algorithm, every now and then I see the black love and all that stuff for real. But more often than not, you see the women ain't this, men ain't that, blah, 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 whatever. So it's like, and I think what I try to tell a lot of women is, and I seen a video like this a little while ago where the guy said all the good girls are standing too close to the negative women. So you kind of gotta either let them know like, hey, we gotta stop doing this, or you need to get further away from them. So that way men can see, hey, okay, it is 10 good women out of that 20 standing there.
Right.
But if you look like them, walk like them, talk like them, we're, a lot of times, if it walk like a duck and quack like a duck, then what's gonna happen? You know what I'm saying? So we both as men and women have to come to grips with the fact that, okay, number one, not every man or woman is like us.
Right. Right.
And you're gonna get the backlash from that other side for it.
Right.
And you have to come to grips with the fact of, okay, I gotta get better with my side. And then it may be forced the other side to change their trajectory.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if all of us men get together, we get on the same accord, we start treating women right, we start doing this and that, those bad apples on the female side are gonna have no choice
right
but to change. And
no,
vice versa.
That's powerful. I definitely want to make sure I get them too. So one is, and I'll accept that the women can say the same thing about I can't tell the difference between solid dudes and y'all trap. That's cool because I know one I had as a friend of mine, I was having a conversation. She's like, until we hold men accountable and tell men that, to tell their homeboy that, are you cheating on your woman ain't right. I'm like, I know plenty of them people. She acting like this doesn't exist. I'm like, that already does exist, but she's convinced or hasn't experienced it. So it's like, all right, there's a little bit that and then also I hate when people try to make me seem like I'm some kind of unicorn, like I can't name 20 other solid gentlemen. You know what I mean? Like we're not about to do that. I won't let y'all do that. I'm not gonna let y'all put me on no pedestal. Because what happens there, what I've noticed is when you do are not the stereotype, now from the wrong person, I'm getting taken advantage of, taken for granted. Like, oh, now I know you know better than to treat this person like this. But apparently, for some reason, for me, it looked like it was something different to play with. Then they bring out the wrong side. It's like you went out your way to go get that.
Right.
You went out your way to go earn that. But also, I'll even take it a step further. I mean, I know like, but it don't even have to be all of us, bro. Like, there's so many. Just is what it is. So many follow the crowd, follow the pack people, period. So if the leaders start showing a better way, then a lot of men are gonna fall in line and say, like, oh, I don't have to, because I was never really that. Actually, to be honest, I was never that anyway. Right. It's not even gonna take a lot for me to stop. I was never built like that. And then according, like you said, then the women are also gonna say, like, okay, a lot of us can stop playing this fault. That's what, because I mean, I don't think women realize how many dudes became dogs because they couldn't be in their soft. They couldn't be in their soft. They couldn't be vulnerable and authentic, so they had to play. It got thrown in their face. Like, you are, I don't respect you, not a real man. Like, they didn't feel like they could be themselves. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I think that's what, like I said, it goes back to, like I was saying before, about the accountability. You have to, because the first thing, when, like you said, when you bring up the scenario like that, the first thing they say is, well, that wasn't me. Yeah, but you got to understand that person was a woman and you're a woman.
Right.
Just like if a woman say, listen, I've never had a good man in my life. So, it's like, okay, I get it, because I'm a man and the person who hurt you was also a man. Right. Forget hey, he might be light skinned, I'm dark skinned, he may be tall, I may be short. At the end of the day, like you said before, the aesthetics of it is that was a man, he hurt you. So yes, I'm not that man, but I am a man. So I get it. But at the same time, you also have to look at it like everybody different. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't hold my lady to the same requirements as I did my exes, for real, because they might have broke my heart, for real, but that don't just automatically disqualify my lady, for real.
Right.
because okay, she's a woman. The woman broke my heart, so now, like you said, I'm a dog now. So now it's like the hell with women.
Right.
It's like, nah, you can't do that for her because, like you said, it's still some solid women out here, just like it's some solid bros out here.
right.
You know, so and I think you got to get out of that hurt mentality for real, and you got to get okay, yeah, everybody's not perfect. Yes, there's gonna be times where this person and this person may break your heart in different ways for real, but you got to leave that with them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to leave that with them for real.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't sit there, okay, that's like if you on the basketball court. If I miss my first 5 shots, I'm not gonna leave the gym. I'm gonna keep going until I make it.
Right. We got to.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think a lot of people like, and then a lot of people get in their head and be like, oh, he just gonna break my heart for real, like the last one.
Right.
So it's like, nah. And then you got to look at it too. That person is still learning you. So yeah, they might be going down the same path as the person that broke your heart in the beginning, but you still got to give them grace because they learning you just like that person did. Right. Whatever they do with it, yeah, it may come out the same. It may come out different, but you still got to give them that chance for it. And if it comes out the same, you're like, oh, okay, scratch that name off the list. All right.
Right.
You know, and then you got to do some self-reflection. You got to look back at the relate. Everybody, I think, should take time. But I don't know if it's a month, 6 months, whatever, and totally get away from it and really like self-evaluate their situations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of, I like to call it being a relationship monkey. Because if you ever seen a monkey when they're swinging in the trees, they don't let go of the last branch before they get a tight grip on the first one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, on the next one.
Right.
You know, and I think a lot of us do that. Like, we don't sit there and take the time out to really be like, okay, let me see what I learned from that relationship for real. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be totally transparent with you. When I broke up, well, when my daughter's mother, we broke up. And I was able to really sit down and really reflect on our situation and why it didn't work. And what I came to it was I had to take responsibility for the fact that, you know, as a man, you step into this fatherly role, you know, family was real important. So you kind of take that and run with it. But any guy, and I'll pass this jewel to any guy in a relationship or any guy that's married in a relationship, got a family with somebody or whatever, don't neglect your partner as your girlfriend or boyfriend. Because you can get lost in the sauce of, you know, family, especially with us men, because, you know, we take fatherhood really seriously. So it's like you get into the family aspect, you want to do whatever you want to do for your family, and you lose track of what made you a family. Me and this person got together and formed this union, and it came to be a child out of it. So you still got to have that time for each other. You can't just get wrapped up in the kids and working and all that stuff. So that's a jewel that I'm dropping for people in relationships. Don't lose sight of the couple aspect of it. Don't lose sight of what got y'all to the marriage, the family, whatever. The basis, the foundation of it was you and that person and y'all union together. So never lose sight of that. And it took me a minute. Like I took probably 6 months, probably like 6 months to a year almost, where I was like, I was single for real. Like I wasn't messing with nobody. I wasn't talking to nobody, no sex, none of that. Because I really needed a clear head to be like, okay, what did I do? You know what I'm saying? And you start looking, like you said, you start looking at certain things that you brushed past. You know, certain things that you didn't really pay attention to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't pay attention to the fact that she was asking for my time and attention. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really pay attention to that. I was more or less like, well, you know, I got to work. You know, we got the baby, And she was like, all right, I want to go somewhere, just me and you. And I'm like, well, it is me and you. It's me, you, and the baby. She's like, you know what I'm saying?
It's not.
I couldn't get out of that whole mindset. So
yeah.
I got, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I got it. So and now I'm glad that I took that time to really evaluate it, because the relationships after that, I really prioritize having that time for the person that I'm with. So now with my lady, I try to make sure that I get that time at least like once a month to be like, okay, it's just us. It's just gonna be, we're gonna do whatever. Yeah, you might see us pop out at events and stuff like that, but it's still just us.
Yeah.
I prioritize, date nights and stuff like that for real.
Yeah.
So we got to get into those type of aspects of the self-reflection part, instead of not always being pushing the blame on everybody else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it be your parents, whether it be the girl, the 4 or 5 girl that broke your heart, whether it be, all this other stuff. We got to start looking at it like, okay, especially when it's relationships, like what did I do wrong to make this relationship not go the way it should have?
Right.
Instead of just blaming everybody.
Yeah, no, and I mean that's definitely something. Again, we can say like, yeah, put that challenge on these men, but like that really is a universal. That's an adult thing.
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely.
Adult thing, because I mean everybody else comes and goes, for whatever time frame. But I'm with me forever. You know what I mean? So it's like this is the person that I can affect the most of doing, improving and learning and applying. Even if I was wrong, like how I move and how I address it does not have to be the way it was prior. You're absolutely right. And why did it leave me? It's the first of all, yeah. I hope nobody please. There is the time, whatever that time frame is dependent on you. So if it took him 6 months to 12, then that's what it needed. If you happen to be shorter, then fantastic. Right. If it takes longer, take longer. Take longer. Do not be like, no, but what it is, you not them, they not you. Even when we come back to poetry and people, I wish I want to do this like that. Again, are you like, I don't know everything about Black chakra, but are you sure you want to deal with everything? Right. Are you sure you want to go through everything so that you become and have the back? Let's be careful with the whole I want just like that person. Let's just keep working on being a better us. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely.
So, you know what I mean? So I think, but even that was what it was like. Society / our community, our culture, it is, it is, it's a fact, it is what it is, but we're so, it's transaction, but it's also accomplishment based. Okay, get the next thing, get the next thing. So like when you're talking about, okay, so me and this person got together, we have a child. All right, now what's next? Now is, the rest, let's foundation. Now let's get their education. Now let's get a house. Now let's get it. And it's like, well, we're not putting energy on the maintenance of what was already there. Like that, absolutely. That didn't get stopped being, needing to be done. And I'm like, who didn't need to learn that away? You know what I mean? It's like, it's okay that you didn't already have that, but like, that's one of those, hey, look, excuse me, if somebody didn't need to take to our age to get it or to hear about it, hey, this is our, this is our role, to be the provider. 100%. There needs to be it needs to be effort and energy on keeping the thing that was the catalyst, or that was one of the first things that began all of that. Keep checking and tuning, maintenance, get that oil change, get that tune up, get that hit that. You know what I'm saying? Get that car wash. Don't let it just get rusty worrying about everything else. Whole time it's the foundation. So yeah, for sure. I think what I love, bro, I love that point. And what I love is just how seamlessly and easy and fluidly this, this conversation goes. And I'm actually glad there's it's not supposed to just be on some we get together, have one conversation, covered everything. You know what I mean? I'm glad that this went, that this has gone how it's gone. But it is a good time to just go ahead and let let it be, based on what, a great conversation that we already had. And there's no reason why, we wouldn't circle back to it, especially, you and I, we running, in this community. So hopefully,
Right.
It's been a minute, but hopefully, I will catch a run into you soon. What I wanted to, like, if nothing else, people that wanted to get in touch with you, just period, how could they do that? Is there anything, to look out for, anything along those lines?
All right, yeah. You can follow me on social media. Facebook is my government name, which is Michael Jerome Dupree.
All right.
On Instagram, it's dreadlock_astronaut. That's dreadlock with 2 C's, not CK. Astronaut, the knot is spelled like the knot in your shoe.
Okay.
I'm on TikTok a little bit, not quite, but I'm on TikTok. IDKY _. I am just different. That's all one word. I'm on there, or you can look me up by my government name, like I said before.
Right.
As far as anything down the line, I am performing. Tice got an event coming up in August. Words, Wings, and Wine. I've done that a couple times. Amazing event. Shout out to my man Tice for that, for bringing it back.
Yes.
Amazing event, great vibes, for real. If you want to go to his page, it's Hey Tice. Tickets on Eventbrite, for real. If you look up Words, Wings, and Wine, I think they only like $15. Something like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But you can catch me there most definitely. In between time, you can just look out for me. I might pop up at any of your local open mics or whatever, dropping some bars or whatever. I think I've pretty much, at this rate, I'm trying to spill a little bit out into the DMV, so you might catch me over in the district for real pretty soon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, other than that, for real, just look out for me, for real. I may pop up somewhere behind y'all, for real, ready to give a hug or a handshake, for real.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't be, I'm not above approach. So you see me on the street, hey, say hi, give a hug, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm open with it.
That's what's up.
And I appreciate you, bro, for giving me, you know what I'm saying? For getting me on here, for real. You know what I'm saying? I like the moves you making, for real. This podcast is dope as hell. I've seen a couple episodes, for real. So I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to grace this joint. And yeah, we could touch on so much other stuff. We could probably keep the conversation going for hours.
And
you know what I'm saying? But we definitely going to circle back. We definitely part 2 whenever you're ready. I'm ready.
Absolutely. Yeah, plan on it for sure. And I appreciate it. I mean, thank you for support. And as you see, like, and thank you for now being on this side of it and being yet another contribution to where somebody else is going to say, yo, I saw this episode and this was incredible and I like what you did and that guest was dope and all that. Like, it's just like, yes, there are definitely people across, I'm just blessed to know, so many, amazing people just across the country. But like, this, even if we're just saying right here, DMV Baltimore scene is so many amazing people. So just to be able to sit down and have this conversation with just a handful of y'all. And by the way, Tice is like, we're gonna make it happen. I was at a poetry party and I mentioned it. He didn't know I had a podcast. I just saw, like, I'm on the mic saying it and I just see him in the back, like, bro, like, why didn't you tell me? So cool. Like, I know we're gonna make that happen as well. But hey, bro, salute to you. I didn't know AMikeAPhone. I love that name. That name is fire. I didn't know I didn't know that was your artist name, but that's fire. Definitely that's the one for sure. So thank you, from everything, from the artistry to relationships to Black men to mental health. Like, I really thank you very much for your gems and your contribution. And yeah, looking forward to the next time. Thank you all for tuning in. This was another episode of the Smart Dumb Podcast. Y'all take it easy.